Okay, hey, this is Stu, and of course I'm here for Love Yoga Anatomy, but this time I'm here in the Ashtanga Yoga Bali Research Center with Prem and Radha.
Yeah, it's not Purple Valley.
It's not Purple Valley. Make sure we're here.
That's
we're
right.
on location. Fully funded, I wish. So welcome, guys. And really, it's fantastic to be back with you here. I really enjoy being here and meeting with you again.
Cool.
So you've had quite a busy, frantic year. So what's been going on for you guys over the last year, since I saw you last?
Wow. When was the last time?
It was about this time last year, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, lots gone on. You know, there's been a lot happening. We've gone through a tremendous amount. In the beginning of the year, well, in December we got an email from someone, and that kind of launched us into like this thing about like, oh God, we're off the list.
Yeah. So we were going to bring that up, but it sounds like we're straight into it.
Yeah. So that kind of started some stuff, and then in the later part of that year, a volcano went off, and then a bunch of people canceled coming here. Yeah. So we were like, what, is there some kind of sign going on? Like, are we being excommunicated via nature and, Sharad and the lit? Yeah. So it was a very interesting year, and it kind of brought up a lot of stuff with us, and we just kind of talked it through, and we put some stuff on the internet and just sharing with people like what was going on for us and what was real for us and our experience.
And so did it come as quite a surprise to you to suddenly get news that you were no longer on the list? Was there any preempt, any warning, or what happened?
No, there was no warning, but I had a feeling that eventually we would be, off of his list, because it's Sharat's list, and he had like a riff going on with us for a very long time. I met with him here in Bali, and I hadn't seen him since his grandfather died, and I wanted to go meet with him, and he was doing an event at Ananda Cottages, which is where we've done 2 conferences, big conferences on Ashtanga Yoga. And I went to go meet with him and just be friendly and nice, and I said, hey, Sharat, welcome to Bali, and so great to see you. He looked at me like I was a stranger, and I was like, oh. And I said, I'd really love to connect with you and meet with you for like 5-10 minutes, just kind of catch up and talk. And, he said, no, very busy with all my students. Yeah. I was like, okay, thanks, Sharat. And that was it. And then off his list.
No, in December you got an email from that person, and then you had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know. Someone said, I guess he is an asshole.
So then we looked on the computer. We were like, oh, okay. And actually, just to say, you and many other people had been off.
Yeah, I mean, at that particular time, as you know, there was 20 people, including Richard Freeman, Tim Miller, and along with us. Yeah. She wasn't off. That's what was funny.
Before that.
No. It was hilarious. I got taken off. She was still on.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's interesting. Like, what kind of game is he playing here?
Well, Prem got taken off along with maybe 15 or 20 other people.
Yeah.
And when I looked at the actual names, and I realized that all the people that were taken off were people that were my teachers or people that I respected, I just felt it was inappropriate for me to be on. So I wrote him a letter, and I said, you know what, I'm really sorry to say this, but I can't keep my own name on the list of all of these people that I respect and who have actually taught me the practice, who I consider to be the pillars of the practice. Why should I be on the list if you're taking them off? So I told him, please take my name off.
Yeah.
And he did immediately.
Yeah.
He did.
And so that went on, okay? And then we moved on. It was like, okay, that happened, and then it was like, okay. Then I got an idea. I'm gonna invite a bunch of people around unification, because there's a lot of people like us that were taken off the list and whatever, that have a different feeling about the practice.
Yeah.
And so I invited a bunch of these people, and we're going to do a conference in March of 2019, and it's called Unity in Diversity.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a coming together in the spirit of Ashtanga and as a family, and sharing like what we learned and how it's okay to be diversified. It's okay to take different looks at it. It's not a religion. It's not written in stone. It's not on a banana leaf.
It's not a cult.
Yeah.
It's not a cult. It's not religion.
Yeah.
So Sharat is making it into the Ashtanga religion. and I don't agree with it. So that's where that lies. And we've carried on. We carried on. And I just got back from a little tour in Europe, and it was fantastic. There's a lot of people that are really hungry for information. And I ran into many people along the way that knew you and watched different videos, and they're talking about different things that are going on. Like people are getting hurt over and over again. And it's like it wrenches my heart, because it's like these kind of things, as you know, they're not meant to happen.
Yeah.
They're not meant to happen.
We'll come back to the injuries in a minute, but with as far as the changes now, as on the list, off the list, whatever. Do you hope that maybe there'll be another ratifying body or some sort of
Saraswati,
grouping?
just so that you know, Saraswati republished on her website the original list from Guruji.
Yeah, all the people
So
that got
nice.
X'd off of, the Sharat list, she put them on her list along with other people, and just kind of updated it according to the people that worked with Guruji originally, and said, I want to honor you. And she put everybody up on there.
Because she knew it was inappropriate to take down the list that Guruji...
Yeah, and in Saraswati, and Sharat are like, bang, bang, bang. They're fighting, they have their own thing, and Manju is fighting with them, and it's a mess. So the unification has to come from all of us that want to unify. And we can see from the very beginning that we learned some valuable things from Pattabhi Jois. And from that, we've all done our own research. Danny went off into shamanism. I went into Ayurveda and other things, and tantric practices. And Radha worked with many different amazing teachers in Iyengar and Mati and Chuck, and all kinds of... She was at the original Yoga Works in LA with many really good teachers went through there. So we have a rich, diverse background, and we know how to use it according to, each person, because it is an individual practice. It is an individual prescription, so to speak. And to be a good teacher of it, you have to be able to, see someone and then address them accordingly, and then allow them to really get what it is that they need to do around bandha, around breathing, around the pace or whatever. And so that's really where we're at. And also, I want to mention this. I was on kind of a little bit of a downward spiral. I had gone through a lot of things, as you know, with my daughter dying 5 years ago. So I was kind of sitting in like this funk and sitting on it too much and isolating myself. And Radha encouraged me to go out and teach and do more things outside. And so after this 2-month trip, I feel revived again. I feel inspired again and enthusiastic. So I'm ready to really share these things that I know in a bigger way. So I'm ready to do it. And I know that feeds me, it nourishes me, and I can see that it really benefits other students too.
And we were talking, that you mentioned it just now, about injury. That and it's really, really important that people don't get injured during the practice. I mean, sometimes things happen that can't be helped. But so what do you see as some of the main areas and main issues?
My own personal experience is that there's particular things that are being overemphasized and too dogmatic about, you got to do it like this. If you can't do it, there's no modification. You just stop there.
And if you modify, you're not a good Ashtangi.
Yeah, there's a lot of judgment and criticism around, like, oh God, you skipped that, or you modified. Oh, that's bad. You're going to go to yoga hell, and there is no yoga hell, just so you know. I mean, we can create our own hell because of all the stuff that we lay on, overlay in our mind about all that stuff. And that's why the religiousness of yoga, if anything, yoga is the most unreligious thing on the planet. It's like welcoming, it's freedom, it's pure freedom, it's self-realization, it's an awakening that's complete freedom, And so, for me, I see this this really hardcore straight line in Ashtanga that's really hurting a lot of people. And there's a lot of teachers that are adhering to that same methodology, and they're hurting people, and it needs to stop. I feel like I need to wear like the Ashtanga police shirt and go around to different studios and just go, no, put the handcuffs on that guy, take him out, you know. And it's really funny, but then again, it's not funny. Like when I was on the road, Stu, when I was on the road, I had several people coming to me and talking about different teachers, and I was like horrified. I was like, really? They broke your back? Oh my God, that's not good.
And back bends is one of those ones, isn't it, Radha, that you have to be super careful with, and there is an encouragement to go really deep.
You know, actually, because we have a shala where we see a lot of different people, because we live in Bali, so we get people that come, and they come for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We get a lot of people that have back problems. And actually, just to say, like sometimes within a couple of classes, just making a few different modifications, the back pain goes away.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to see. Like, it makes me feel so good as a teacher to just help somebody with something and just take the pain, or help to take the pain away. It's like, wow, it's exciting.
Yeah, they just they don't understand the mechanics of like what they need to do to get it out of that place where there's repetitive action, like hinging at particular places, or you know, there's a lot of talk, and I've heard you say it, and I've heard different people say it about different things, like the knees. It has to be opening of the hips, and you have to rotate the knee in a particular way and get into the hip. Yeah, that's all well and good. And you need to just look at each individual and modify accordingly to take them in that direction. And they may never, ever be able to do Marichasana D. That's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think what we also have to do as teachers is take away this, everyone wants to prioritize this acrobat mentality, you know, of like, can you grab your heels? It's okay if you don't grab your heels. You know, you can still have an amazing practice with tons of integrity and not grab your heels. So I think there's too much focus on things that are not that
stuff and not really important.
It's really not.
No. There's very few people that can do that. Very few people that have the ability to do that. And so if we glorify that, then we're making a mistake too. And a lot of people are doing that because that's what's on Instagram and on Facebook. And look at me, you know, they're doing like a video of a drop back and they're grabbing their knees and they're like, oh my God, that's so amazing. I want to do that. You know, and then they hurt their back. So we have to go step by step, and like what Radha was saying, it's unnecessary to go that deep. You know, anatomically, it's not going to make you any more energetically alive in your spine.
And it doesn't make you a better yogi or yogini to do it.
Exactly.
So
it definitely doesn't make you any more spiritual.
It doesn't make you any more spiritual. That's for sure.
If that's the case, then we should be like touching, you know, Cirque du Soleil people's feet.
Right.
And saying, oh my God. And I feel like that when I watch them do their thing. I'm like, oh my God. I want to touch their feet because it's like the stuff that we do looks like kindergarten. Like they'll do a one-handed handstand off of somebody's head. You know, 50 feet up or something. You're just like, what? That takes a lot of focus and bandha and control and stuff.
We don't have the monopoly on control and focus and bandha for sure.
But it is amazing. I mean, when you watch someone practice that's like graceful and flowing with their breath, it's like magical. When you see that, it's like, wow, that's cool. That's really cool. You know, and that's what hooked me. When I first saw that, I was like, I want to do that. And that was something in me that it was like, wow, I really want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to put my feet on my head and, you know, and do all those crazy things. And so I went as far as like 5th series, which is pretty far in the sequence. But then after a while, I started to see like it was unnecessary. It was like I was putting so much energy into that physical thing. And then I was like, why am I putting so much energy in that? It's really not helping me spiritually. Physically, it was kind of fun and interesting, but then I was putting like 3 or 4 hours into practice. And then I had a family, and I'm trying to make money, and it was like, you know, like, leave me alone, I'm practicing, you know. It was ridiculous, you know, like, we have to be able to integrate all this stuff into our everyday life. And Pattabhi Jois and Krishnamacharya, they were householders. They were family men. So this practice was meant to be something that you do in the morning. It's like a reset button, and then you do your life. You go and you work. You're a plumber, a lawyer, or whatever. You don't have to be a yoga teacher. Why does everyone want to be a yoga teacher? You know what I mean? Like, it's so silly.
It's live the dream.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I want to travel and be like Danny Paradise.
Yeah. And you guys, so how do you guys spend your division of your practice? How much of it is meditation? How much is pranayama? How much is physical practice?
We both have different things.
Different practices.
I have my own meditation practice and my own teacher that I meditate. I typically get up, in the early hours of the morning and meditate first, and then I'll do an asana practice, and then maybe I'll do like a little pranayama session, and then that's it. So my practice is maybe, 2.5 hours or so, or a little bit longer than that. And I do all that in the morning, then we get in the room here at 7:30 and teach till 9:30. And then we do some, like right now we're doing a 3-week immersion for teachers and for dedicated students. And we do that from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock. Yeah. So we keep everybody here because before we used to have them go away and then come back again. It's better we just keep them here and then we launch into it and do our thing. But Radha, you can say what you do.
I do a little bit different. I practice the physical part, and then I do pranayama, and then I end with meditation.
So you do it that way around?
And I usually spend about anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours on everything.
On everything.
So usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel more than 2 hours. Certainly not of asana. I don't think it's necessary. But for me, 2 hours is usually what my practice is.
Yeah. My asana practice is definitely scaled down. I'm doing elements of primary, intermediate, and some advanced stuff, and I mix it up. I'm not doing the series. Oh God! Oh, Prem, you're going to go to Ashtanga yoga hell. Yeah, so I don't stick to the I do Surya Namaskara A, I do B, I do the standing, but then I mix it up. Come on, I've done it for 40 years. What am I going to robot through a primary on Fridays and I have the liberty to do what I want now. Yeah. And if you talk to a lot of advanced practitioners, they're not sticking to the series all the time. They're mixing it up and having fun and doing, different things.
But it is good to have, having said that, he's practicing for 40 years.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it really is good to have that foundation
and
not mix it up.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
It really is important.
I'm so thankful that I have it.
Me too.
I would be a complete and utter wreck. I would. And I know it. So I'm very thankful I have it. And over these last 5 years, I've gone through hell. I've gone through literal hell. And it saved me. Yeah. I kept practicing. I never stopped. I was like, shit, I got to get up and move my body, man. This is not good, but I got to move. And, it saved me. It kept me healthy. I thought I had some kind of physical problem. She said maybe she could have a checkup. So I was going through Bangkok and I had like a full physical exam. Everything. Blood, shit, got on the treadmill, checking your heart. And then I sat down with the doctor and he went through everything. He goes, you're perfectly healthy. In fact, you're doing really well. I said, I don't have cancer. I don't have a brain tumor.
And what was triggering you to think there was something wrong? Was it just
I was so depressed, man. Depression. And this is a key, and this is what's really important that people understand. How powerful the mind is and the emotions. It can really take you down the toilet bowl, man. Sure. I let it get too heavy on me, and I was so attached to this girl. Too attached. But it's really, it's made a profound difference in my life. That because of that event, I am who I am now, and I can speak the way I speak because it impacted me so much. Look, we're all gonna die. It's a number one fear in every single person. So for me, I've gotten over that fear of death. In my own death, I've touched my own death. I got in touch with my own death while I'm alive. So I know the road home. You know, I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know that there's celestial music. I know where I'm going because I've touched that. And because of what happened, I had to go there. I had to. I wrote this crazy book. What was the title? You know, like The Only Way Out Is In. Hello? Like, did you read that book, Prem? Oh yeah, I wrote it. The Only Way Out Is In. I had to go in. That's the only way I could get out of this quagmire of like, bleh. So I know what it's like to be depressed. I know the feeling of depression. My God, I have so much compassion for people that don't have yoga and meditation and the key to get out of it. And a lot of people commit suicide. And I thought about it, believe me. I thought about it.
And do you think it was if you could have to pick one of the elements of your practice, the physical bit, the meditation or the pranayama?
Meditation.
The meditation.
Meditation was the key. The meditation was the key. The physical practice of asana, pranayama, and all that kept me healthy, kept my body strong. But the meditation was the one that lifted me out of that. And it also took like someone coming in my life, like a spiritual teacher. Out of the blue, someone sent me an email, and I connected with him, and over a period of time, he's really helped me a lot. And he's coming to Bali in October. Yeah. So I'm stoked. He's been my guiding light, so to speak, and my ability to see that I can enjoy my life. That was one of the first things he said to me when I met him. He said, "Don't worry, Shanti's taken care of." He said, "Enjoy your life." And I was like, how can I? Yeah. And he just laughed. And he said, you'll figure it out, basically. And he just kind of chuckled and said, just enjoy your life. It's about enjoying your life. Carry on, Yeah. So I just kept going in and checking in and connecting with him and slowly let go of some of this heavy stuff. It was karma, it's all karmic, like just what we have to go through, and time and space is irrelevant. Whether it took 5 years or 50, whatever. I'm glad I'm, released from it. Yeah. I really am.
And what do you guys see for the future of the next 5-10 years? Still traveling, still having people coming through?
Hopefully.
Same.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we created this center, that we want to continue teaching people and teaching the elements of Ashtanga yoga and Ayurveda and Tantra, and those elements are just part of a healthy lifestyle. That's what we're doing. We're gurus. We're sadgurus. We're sadhana gurus, right? So we have a way of teaching and a way of implementing things that are very valuable for people. And we've studied a lot, so we have something to share. So there's a difference between us and like a Satguru, someone who's enlightened. We're definitely not enlightened. I can say I'm not. I don't know about her.
I'm for sure not. Let's be clear.
We're still
absolutely not.
We're still struggling souls.
I have no problem saying that.
We're still going through our stuff, and we still have karma to play out, So, but we do have some things to share with people. And I will continue. This last trip that I did, I had a blast. I had so much fun connecting with different Ashtangis around the world. Yeah. And so I want to do more of that. Radha, I don't know, maybe she'll do more here, and we're kind of working out like, some together, some apart.
I want to do more maybe on the road, but I want to do more around food and women's health and hormone study and nutrition. That's what I have like a passion about. Nice. So whether I do it in Bali or I do it at another school or I do it on the road, that's something that really, for me, I get really excited about. I love cooking. I love the qualities of food. I love the idea of just longevity and all of that. So that's my passion. Yeah.
And you guys, you must see a lot of different stuff in the students that are coming through here, because as you say, they're coming from all over the world, and quite a few of them. Do you get real beginners or mostly established practitioners, would you say?
I would say we get a pretty good mix.
Of everything coming through.
We get a lot of returning students, which is really nice. We do get a lot of people that want to learn the practice, I think, because we have a reputation for really teaching the foundation. And then we also get a lot of people that have been practicing for a while. So we have a pretty nice mix of men and women too.
So if you could pick up some things, because a lot of the people that watch these videos, it's like sometimes they're practicing at home, sometimes they can't get to teachers and that sort of stuff. So it's sort of useful for them to know the sorts of things that you see with regularity in students, that they're doing this thing. We'll use the word wrong because I don't know another way of saying it, but some common errors as far as alignment goes, or not treating their body in a particular way, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really difficult, Stu, to do it on a video.
Yeah.
You have to have a teacher looking at you and saying, move your foot or bend this, and how does that feel? Oh yeah, that's cool, great, that feels good. It's hard to get it off a video. There's no generic method. You know?
I think that also that's true what you're saying. You really do need a teacher to guide your body, because like your body, Tom's body, you're different. So you're going to need different cues and different instructions. Although I would say that in general, the foundation is the most important thing. So if the foundation of the pose isn't there, then the rest of it, it's going to be a struggle, the rest of it. So if people can understand what to do with the foundation, they're going to build everything up from that.
Yeah, you can, I mean, there's definitely elements that you can teach through video.
Yeah.
But the real where the rubber meets the road, it has to be one-on-one connection with the teacher.
Ideally, yeah.
But there are really great elements that you can teach and explain around the breath and around bandha and around different things, elements. But in order to integrate all of them, you need a teacher that's going to help you to see that. Okay. And then once you get that element, then it goes clunk, and then you got it. And that's the whole element of teaching. See, in order for people to be able to teach, they have to understand all these things. It's not just blah, 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 and mula bandhas, squeeze your anus, and, it's more than just all the jargon and all the stuff, and the chakras, and there's a bunch of nonsense going on,
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
It's not, which
Definitely.
is good. And
it
there's
really
something
isn't.
that they can take away from this for a start. Is don't feel that they have to do it in one particular way.
No.
Absolutely not.
No,
and
but I encourage people to find a teacher. Find a teacher.
And I would encourage people, along with that, to be consistent. That would be one of the main things I would say that we say to our students is, don't do the practice once a week. Yeah. Do a little bit every day or 6 days. Don't just practice once a week for 2 hours, and you're really not learning the method.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't see Tom, but there's someone here kind of watching you. And Tom mentioned today, how do you manage the energy of not being exhausted at the end of a practice?
That's a great question.
So a lot of people have in their mind I got to do 2 hours, but I'm completely exhausted at the end of that. So Ayurveda has an answer for that. So you have to slowly build up to that. Like anything physical, for instance, like running. Yeah. If you're not a runner, and I come up to you and go, "Hey Stu, you don't really run, do you? Hey, you want to do a marathon with me?"
Yeah.
That's like walking into an Ashtanga-led primary class. It will kill you. So you have to go step by step. When I first learned Ashtanga, I had a tremendous amount of energy, but all I learned was Surya Namaskara, That's it. So I had to be harnessed. I had to, tame the wild horse. Here's a little bit. Okay, that's good. Here's the next element. So you slowly build it over time. Then you build up your stamina, you build up your energy, and you learn how to manage your energy. And then, because when you're done, when you're finished, you want to be juicy. You want to be energetic, not oh my God, I'm so exhausted. Oh God, I got to go to work now?
And it starts again tomorrow.
I
have to go to work?
Yeah.
And then what do? They just suck coffee down all day. That's not a good method.
2 hours of practice followed by a 4-hour nap.
Yeah, along with 4 cups of coffee through the day. It
doesn't make sense,
It's not healthy. Not healthy.
So find amount of time that you can manage.
That's right. Yeah. It's better quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity.
Do a half an hour every day. Yeah. And then you'll make room, because you'll start to see that feels good. Then it goes to 45 minutes, and then it goes. But at least do every day a half an hour.
Yeah.
I'd rather see a student do with integrity, Surya Namaskar A and B, the standing poses, a couple of closing, than somebody who blasts through the whole thing, not knowing the breath, not knowing the foundation, not knowing about the bandha. Like,
And
to
they
me,
do it
I have
once a
more
week.
respect for the person
And
that
they
does
do that once a week.
Yeah, and they do it once a week. So
Yeah.
sometimes
not-
I respect beginner students more than certain advanced students, because the beginners do less with integrity because there's that eagerness, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes when people do a practice for a long time, they kind of take it as...
Those people are broken. We have someone who's in the room now, and they've been practicing for a couple of decades. She's completely broken.
all kinds of injuries, yeah.
And she's only here
What
for
a
a
shame.
week. She wants a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her back is broken. She's got all these problems, her neck and this
Pain
and
and
that.
everything,
And
yeah.
it's like, what have you been doing for 2 decades? And then she's teaching other people.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so foundation
Yeah.
is definitely a one. Consistency, isn't it? Keep it consistent.
Yeah.
And anything that you see that just keeps cropping up. I know we don't want to explain the details, but like, okay, check in on this, check in that you're doing that sort of thing, like with particular asanas that often crop up.
Yeah, I would say consistency. What did we say? We say consistency, quality over quantity. That would be a main theme at our shala. Is, again, it doesn't matter the length of time, really, but it's the quality that you put into what you're doing. Yeah.
We really emphasize like the foundation from the standpoint
foundation,
of Surya Namaskara A and B and the standing.
Yeah.
That's foundational stuff. You should really be solid in that. Because when you're done with that, then you go into whatever sequence that you are studying or learning. So every single practitioner, whether they're practicing 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 1st or 2nd, they do Surya Namaskara A, B, standing. Yeah. Sometimes we'll have people stay in the standing poses longer, like 10 breaths, and get it really down. You know, anatomically, energetically, bandha, breathing. Stay in it longer. Settle into it a little bit deeper. Learn to use your legs. Learn to use different parts that people don't emphasize.
Absolutely.
And then when they get to the primary, they're more energetic and everything.
My teachers really focused on really knowing the Surya Namaskar, knowing the standing poses, because if you do...
Who was your teachers?
My teachers, Chuck and Mati. Okay. So they were really, really great about that. And having that strong foundation just made the other series much easier. Like going into the series much easier.
Yeah,
So
like people like Chuck and Mati and Richard Freeman and many other people that had Iyengar backgrounds, they really helped to kind of clean up some of the really horrible stuff that was going on.
For sure they did.
Yeah. Because if you look at Patabi Joyce's book, the Yoga Mala, he's like all over, I would take him and just like, no, Guruji, you're not doing this right. Because he was just like all over the place. So they helped us clean it up. And Iyengar was really proficient at like energetic lines and foundation and connection. He just went a little bit too blah, blah, blah and too isolated. But you can use some of that information and integrate it into your practice. It's very valuable. Very valuable.
Yeah. And you guys use blocks here too. I've got one of my cameras set up on them.
Yeah. We use them and different...
primarily with the...
We don't use it with standing poses.
Yeah.
We use it with... we put people in the back of the room and we do like a Urdhva Dhanurasana back bending. Because a lot of people are really tight in their shoulders.
Yes.
And it just props them up in such a way that they can fully extend their arms and open up their back a little bit better. So that's what we use the block for primarily.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of props, I think that the idea with a prop is to help you learn the pose, but not to be like
A crutch.
Yeah,
crutch.
exactly.
Not to be addicted
Exactly.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't use, we're not into a lot of the, the whips and the chains and the different things. It's not S&M yoga. But we do use some things. We use pillows, to prop people up in certain things. For instance, like Triangamukha Ekapada.
Yeah.
A lot of people are kind of leaning off to one side, their hamstrings really not open. So we put that under the straight leg and it levels them out. So mostly the prop is elevate the straight leg. Now the concern that people need to have with propping up like that is not to hyperextend. Because the tendency is to drive the knee down that way. And you need to keep some action through the foot. We do a lot of pushing through the ball of the foot. So the ball of the foot is a little bit more extended than the heel. And that engages the quad, and then you can come more forward. But this also kind of levels out the hip a little bit, and then you can come more forward that way. I mean, there's some element of the knee, but not as like some of the other stuff like Janu Sirsasana C and Marichasana D and all that stuff.
I've had a lot of people actually that when they're not propped up, they have more pain. So that's why I said that.
Or, for instance, things like this, like putting your foot on your thigh. Like to have some energy through your foot, it keeps the angle of your knee correct. I see a lot of people, they do the pose and their foot is twisted and their knee's up and then they're coming forward, and that hurts my ankle and knee right now. So if I have this and the ability to do that, then it keeps the knee in a safe place. It also gets the heel in the right place for going deep underneath the rib cage and massaging that part of the organ there. So some of the things that we do as a modification might be flexing the foot and keeping the foot like that, and then coming forward, and then you can feel it in the hip. So it's not a baby pose. This is like the next level of it. You would come here, you put your leg behind your head. So it's just to open up the hips so you can come here, and there's no pressure on the knee, no pressure on the ankle. Then you can come forward and no problem.
It's as you said, like from before, each person when they approach a pose, depending on their restrictions, is going to be depending on the bits that need to open and the bits that's going to stop them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's
so individual.
One place,
it
one will
is.
So
feel
individual.
It
And you know, someone like you and someone who's very strong and built like solid like you are, you're going to have difficulty with the flexibility issue. No problem with strength stuff and picking up and doing all that.
But you won't get injured that easily either.
No,
Yeah, you're harder to break. But when you get like these Gumby flexible, you know, little Chinese girls and, you know, whatever, they're like so bendable.
Yeah.
You want to make them stronger. As a teacher, when I see that, I just say, slow down, get some integrity, some strength.
Yeah.
And it totally helps them.
Yeah. So that's something else, again, that they can pick up from that. If you have that sort of body tending on hypermobility, really, isn't it? Those same sort of people
There's a
get
lot
the
of
integrity.
Yeah, they need to tighten up.
strength.
They need to get stronger.
Yeah.
Especially in certain joint areas, especially in their lower back and different vulnerable areas where they're just throwing their head back, they're jamming into their lower back, they're doing all these extreme things.
There's a lot of people that come in, I'd say, well, I don't know how much the percentage is, but a lot of people have hyperextended knees.
Yeah.
A lot. And a lot of people are actually being taught to hyperextend their knees.
Yeah,
But
they'll do stuff like
like
this, dude. They'll I can't even do it.
They'll rest on
Look, the heel will
come
yeah,
up.
the heel will come off, and they'll flex their foot back, and they'll even pull back on their foot, and all of it goes right into the insertion.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have pulled like hamstrings
and lower back pain when they have
like the insertion of the hamstring,
Yeah.
and it lasts for years.
Yeah, on the sit bone.
Years. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff.
So micro bend the knee.
Yeah.
if you
I
hyperextend.
always teach that, and I always do to my
keep
own
like
practice.
some action that's, you know, this really helps a lot. This little action thing here through your foot like that, it's tremendous for like just distributing the energy through the leg as opposed to pulling back.
Yeah, yeah. So it's often with all these things, it's a balance of energies, isn't it? It's an outward and an inward balance of energies, not
That's
all
right.
one. Not all one.
No. It's an integration of all of it. It's not just like pinpointing and focusing and going, oh, we got to take care. No, you have to look at like the whole person and see where can I modify accordingly to make a shift in the energetic quality of the pose. And depending on, you know, the body length and all that, you can modify. You can turn the foot in, turn it out, you know, go a little longer, go a little shorter, go a little wider, all that stuff. It's really fun to kind of modify accordingly like that, and then people get the energetic quality of it right away. And then you can start moving towards the more ideal.
Yeah.
Like what it looks like in a book or something.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to, like, you know, shift it and move
around
it.
a bit.
It's not like everybody put your foot, you know, your heel to your arch.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work like that.
Normally I say to people as well, check in. It's okay to move yourself around, but realize why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Don't just be doing it and you don't even know why your leg is out here or whatever. If you have some reason for changing something, then know why you do it, but don't just move in a pattern.
And that's
that's the way
exactly.
you do it.
It's not random. It's not random.
I like what you just said. I actually apply that to when I give an adjustment. I like to know. I like to be able to explain to the student why I'm giving the adjustment.
Yeah.
Not just like, okay, do the adjustment, but why am I giving them that adjustment?
Yep.
You know, and just to be able to explain it to them that way.
Also, when we give adjustments, we want people to feel what it is that they're experiencing. Like, do you feel that you're more centered? Do you feel like you're more grounded? And they go, wow, yeah, I can totally feel what I need to be doing in Trikonasana or whatever it is. Yeah. Because they feel it. They have an experience of it. It's not me just cranking them into it and like, oh, God, that's great. And then you let them go and they fall over. You know?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, as you said, they've got to integrate it into their body, haven't they?
Yeah. An adjustment is just to give you an indicator of where you need to go. So it's nice to get a nice adjustment. You're like, oh, God, that feels so good. Stay there, you know?
But you shouldn't really need the adjustment.
No,
it's just
ideally,
nice.
You know, it's nice to get one, but then what happens when you go back to Australia or wherever you live and you practice for 6 months by yourself?
People get like junkies. Right? They're like, we're like yoga waiters. Hello, over here. Can you adjust me, Prem?
That's me. I'm really an adjustment junkie. I would be happy for the teacher to stand at the end of my mat and adjust me on every posture.
Yeah, sure. But we would charge accordingly.
Exactly.
That's called a private, Stu. It's called a private session. Yeah. That's nice.
We can
it's
organize
nice. I mean, Radha used to do a lot of that. She went around all over LA doing privates with people all the time. You know, she was giving private sessions with a lot of people. So she learned a lot about that.
I used to be an adjustment junkie myself when I was younger, and I learned.
Still young, that's why it is.
I learned, of course you are. I learned a very harsh lesson that. When I was no longer able to practice with my teachers, and I was left to my own devices and practicing on my own, I realized, I missed those adjustments, but then it made me see that I needed to find the pose in a different way, and that I really relied on somebody externally to put me in something.
Yeah, we got a little bit into that when we first met, and we were practicing. We don't practice together anymore, because it's like, now it became a distraction after a while. I was like, can you help me here? Can you tush like that? And I was like, what are you doing? You know, I would look over, and then I was like, this is too much. I can't do this.
It was actually my underwear that was a distraction.
Yeah, exactly.
Just joking.
Oh my God.
Sorry, just a little comic relief.
All right, okay. Comic relief. No, it wasn't that. Not all of it.
But you would practice different sequences at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, she would say, "Could you help me with this?" And I would go, "I'm in the middle of this. What do you do?" You know, and then you get up and you do it, and you know.
But some people actually, that's true. It is a distraction. But some people actually every day they practice in community settings where they jump up all the time and adjust each other. It's a different way of practicing because you lose your focus when you do that.
Yeah.
It's not that it's wrong, but if I have to jump up every couple poses and adjust someone over there while I'm doing my own practice, I'm going to lose my own flow.
Yeah. Also, it's I just got too like critical too. Like, what are you doing? You know?
He was very critical.
Was he?
I will vouch for that.
I couldn't get out of like the teacher mode. It's like when I practice, I'm in like my own little bubble.
Not good for a marriage.
And the drishti's not on the underwear. You know, like you have to be like focused.
It's important. It was a good thing for me. I when I started my practice with Chuck and Mati, who I'm so grateful. I did have so many years practicing with such great teachers. It was daily for many, many years.
You said you got a little addicted to it.
I did. And so having said that, when I moved away from it and I didn't have, I didn't have teachers on a daily basis, it was the opposite extreme. And I had to find a completely new way of finding my practice.
Yeah, like self-generating.
Completely different.
You know, like having the inspiration to flip your mat out and do it on your own. And I see a lot of people are faced with that.
Yeah, because there's so many people that watch these videos that have no teacher.
Yeah.
Right,
because
it's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
It's a good discipline.
It's a great discipline.
I know that everybody watching, they have the ability to go and hang out with a teacher and go back and then use the things that they learned in their practice. Then come back every 6 months or once a year. Use it as like a little yoga vacation thing where you get some instruction. Go back and then practice.
Implement it.
That's what we did.
Implement it.
We were constantly going back and forth to India, and he would give us some stuff. We'd
You
go
get
back,
the inspiration
practice,
and then go back.
Yeah, and then we're like, okay, I need some more. I'd go, and he'd go, oh, not practicing. I was like, sorry, Guruji, I have 2 kids, whatever. And then I would get it back, and then I would go back home and get caught up in the world, and then, that's the cycle.
I would even say, like, when people ask me now, even nowadays, I don't think it's an ideal to practice daily with a teacher for a long period of time. I think it's great to go intensely study with a teacher for a few months and then go back home and see if you can carry it on.
Yeah, it's just a different thing.
Just different. Just
like you said, a lot of people are watching these videos because they don't have teachers.
Yeah.
Right? So there is a benefit to having a teacher where you live. There's a community atmosphere. There's like, I know that Tom and John and Susie and blah, blah, is going to be there. So it's like, gets you up in the morning and then you go and you practice. It's like that feeling, So I really commend people that don't have it and they keep practicing. And they're looking for inspiration wherever they can.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's more
tough.
rewarding in a way because it is tougher.
For sure. I respect it tremendously when people practice on their own, especially when they're new to the practice and they've really taken that discipline on without the help of a group or a teacher. Wow.
We have a lot of people that do that. We have a lot of people that come, they don't have a teacher where they live or they don't like their teacher.
Yeah.
So they come, they do practice, they go back home, they come back the next year, and then we go, nice, good job, here's some more.
Yeah.
We lay down the next layer, the next level of it. And then they practice it, they disappear for 6 months, a year, they come back. Excellent, wow, you're doing a great job, here's some more. Or, haven't been practicing, have you? Oh no, kind of fell off the wagon. All right, let's start over again.
Yeah.
So just be kind to yourself, do your best. It's really about that. But get instruction where you can. Quality instruction's pretty hard to find this day and age.
Yeah.
But if you find a good teacher, hang out with them. Get some good instruction and then implement that in your life.
Yeah. On that same subject of adjustments, we know what we're coming to. There's been a lot of controversy. It's been quite a year for controversy as far as the Ashtanga grouping goes.
Yes.
So, and everybody's aware of the stuff being going on to do with inappropriate adjustments as far as Guruji goes. And I know you particularly, Radha, have strong views. So perhaps you want to share those?
Sure. I want to preface it by saying my opinion, I don't want it to hurt anybody's feeling because I don't want to take away from an experience that someone had that they felt created pain or suffering for them.
Yeah.
At the same time, I have to be honest with my own experience. So with the stuff around Guruji, I personally never had that kind of experience with him. And I actually really treasure my time with him. And I treasure what I learned with him and the adjustments that I got from him. I really do. So for me, the situation that's happened in the last year has been really heartbreaking. The whole thing with the list and the whole thing with Guruji and people taking his pictures down. I have to just tell you the truth. I find it quite disheartening.
Yeah. It
absolutely was not my experience, and I will not say otherwise.
Yeah.
I feel grateful for the time that I had with him, and I also feel like the first time I went to study with Guruji, I was kind of unsure about the practice. I was unsure that I had the ability to do it. I just had this feeling like, can I really do this every day? I don't know if I'm good enough to do it. And when I went to Mysore for the first time, he always was like laughing and smiling and you do. He was always like pushing me like, come on. And I always got the feeling of like a grandfather.
Yeah.
you know, like just warm. And I really loved my time with him. And so this whole stuff that's gone on, I feel for the women that feel they've been wronged by his adjustments. I can't comment. I can only comment that I've had beautiful experiences, and I'm really happy about it. Now, having said that, the Ashtanga practice, as I think Prem would also agree, you know, you're practicing 40 years. I'm practicing 28 years. If we go way back to the beginning, the practice was a very physical practice. Would you not agree? The adjustments I used to get in the
Heavy
beginning.
duty.
Are you
heavy
kidding?
duty.
Sweaty bodies and
People
touching
would
each other
grab
and doing
me
stuff.
and, you know, I'm not talking about Guruji. I'm talking about
Anybody.
I'm talking about the American teachers, the Australian teachers, men and women.
Yeah.
I was
We were
grabbed
all
and
over each other.
All over. It was, and that's another reason why I just feel this whole thing with Guruji. I've gotten a lot of adjustments in a lot of yoga rooms that could be considered sexually inappropriate. But I never took it that way, and I never assumed that the teacher wanted me to feel it that way, and so it never bothered me. It's a very sensual practice. It's very hands-on. Now, because of everything that's going on, it will become less of a hands-on practice.
Yeah.
I've been noticing more and more, like even on the internet, a lot of teachers are saying, please make sure you have a tag on your mat that says, "Don't touch me." And although...
Are you serious?
Yes. And although, like, okay, I get it. They're afraid of getting sued. They're afraid of getting slammed on the internet.
Yeah.
It also kind of makes me feel like a little bit sad because I love the quality of this practice, that it's earthy and sensual and physical, and that's what attracted me to it. And I feel as long as the intention of the teacher is a pure intent, what is wrong with giving a physical adjustment? Well, now we've got to be careful.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel. I have a very strong opinion, and I know some people are probably going to hear this and I'm going to get criticism for it, but I guess I've got to be okay with giving my
Radha,
my
honey,
opinion.
That's your experience. There's people that had different experience. I witnessed different people getting adjusted, and I saw it, and I was like, kind of like, whoa, I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But I never went to him and said, you know, that's really inappropriate what you're doing with this woman. I felt it was up to them to say something. So I kept mum. And I didn't hear a bunch of women going, oh,
That's
did you
right.
feel that? Did you hear that? Did you...
That's right.
So now after he's dead, some women that are coming out, and they've been sexually abused before. They have that issue. So of course, and I'm not taking away from that there was some touching going on that was inappropriate.
But there's a difference between inappropriate and deliberately taking sexually advantage of somebody.
Here's look, Radha, part of what's going on is that it's a control thing. What I'm starting to see is that it was a control thing. That basically Patabi could do whatever he wanted and no one would say anything.
Okay.
It wasn't a sexual thing. It wasn't like he was trying to get off and, you know, have an orgasm or something himself.
Right.
It was mostly around like, I can do whatever I want. Just like what he could do. I saw him do adjustments where he would crank somebody into like Padmasana, and then you'd hear like a crack. And then he'd go, oh, difficulty walking 3-4 days. It's like, that was inappropriate that adjustment.
Yeah, in a different way.
That's right.
So there was touching, there was stuff going on. So for me, it was like, I'm not going to pick a woman up by the crotch and then, you know, it was like...
I agree with what you're saying, and I like what you said about there was an idea of maybe he could do whatever he wanted. It was a control thing.
It was more about that. Because he was publicly, you know, hey, I'm going to touch her here, I'm going to touch there. He did that with men too. It wasn't like he was just doing it with women. He was holding me at my sacrum. He was holding and picking people up. So it wasn't just like women.
Right.
There was stuff going on that was, you know, and there was that thing that was like, wow, what's going on? Like, but we never got together and said, okay, we need to like talk to him.
So my question,
there was different issues that happened over the years.
Yeah.
Like there was different, like for instance, like this whole kissing, hugging thing. there was like kissing on the lips all the time with Patabi. Like he had a lineup of like 100 people, 80 were women, and they were all lined up. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there was a lineup of people that wanted to kiss him on his lips, and he would go, oh, and he would kiss them and kind of pat them on their behind. It was like, well, that's cute. He's 90 years old. Wow, nice, good job, Gurji, whatever. It's like it was a little bit weird, but all these women were lined up to have that happen. So it was like, that's interesting. But then all of a sudden, out of the blue, these sexual accusations and blah, blah, blah. After 10 years after he's dead.
10 years,
Yeah.
Bring it up while he's alive. Let's have some interaction with this guy and see what he has to say. There's nothing he can say now.
But the other question is really like, let's take Guruji out of the equation. If you're going to a teacher and you're getting adjustments from them that don't feel good, whether they're sexually oriented or not.
Yeah, tell them no.
Why would you continue to go to them for several years? It doesn't make sense.
But there was just it was a power trip. They got mesmerized and they kept going.
Maybe. Okay.
And then they got lost in that. But see, this is part of what I talk with a lot of different women. And I tell them, because I know the condition that some of these women are in. They're very vulnerable. They're very insecure. And they don't know how to say no. So that's why I'm saying, like, these kind of soft, innocent, vulnerable, very flexible women, you need to get them stronger so they can say no.
Stronger body, stronger mind.
Yeah, like, don't do that.
Or, no, I don't want to be adjusted.
I said that plenty of times to him.
Too,
I was like, Guruji, I'm a little bit tired here. Don't get too rambunctious with me. And he would go, okay. He would walk away. He it's like, no, not today. Thank you.
It's also made me aware, and I think it's also made you aware in the yoga room now, since all of this has happened. Occasionally I'll be adjusting somebody and I say to myself, oh my goodness, I hope that's not considered inappropriate. Because
I don't have that.
Before I would never think about it. I like to grab people, I like to adjust people, and maybe my hands do touch their buttocks in a drop back, but I never really thought about it before. But now I'm kind of, oh, wow, am I going to be criticized for giving this type of adjustment?
I think it's the intention, though, isn't
it?
I'm a body worker, I'm a massager. You put your hands all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can tell in a second whether the person's intention is inappropriate.
Yes,
of course.
yes.
And it's the same with adjusting.
I agree.
You can tell if it shouldn't be. But it's just that, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But from looking at the videos and on YouTube and you see his hands and you think, what the fuck was he thinking?
Yeah.
Why would he even think that was okay to do?
Some of the stuff that I saw in the videos, I didn't see happening.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. That was like weird.
Yeah.
So that was kind of revealing to me. And then I was like, oh, shit, okay. But
he never did anything behind closed doors. He was never hiding anything. It was all
it's more of like, I can do whatever I want, basically, and everyone will be okay with it because I'm like Guruji,
But I agree. Also, I really understand what Stu is saying, being a body worker, and I've actually had body work done on me that was very, very physical. And yet I knew that the body worker, his intention was pure. And so somebody else might have found it too invasive.
Yeah.
I really feel the intention behind what somebody is doing really is important.
Look,
and you can sense it in a second.
You can sense it in a second.
We are, I'm pushing on people's sacrums. I'm holding them right here, pulling them back on downward dog. There's a lot of close areas, but there's also the intention behind it, the intention behind it, and trying, it's definitely. I feel clean and pure in what I'm doing. When I lay down on someone and when I'm doing stuff, I feel my energy's clean, and so I've never had, look, get off of me, never had any of that, never ever. Yeah. So it is a delicate thing, especially now, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing. I'm still doing the same adjustments. I haven't backed off on anything. I haven't, because I'm not afraid of if someone's going to criticize me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's have a little talk about it.
And I would respect any student that would say to me, "I don't want that adjustment anymore," or that doesn't work for me, no problem. No problem for me.
Yeah.
I would actually welcome it. Yeah.
But we also have to kind of see, like what we've been talking about. Like, it's really important that people get a clear understanding what this practice is about. It's for healing. It's for better health. It's for all these things that we've been talking about. Now, people don't know how to do that. They have no business teaching. That's why we need Ashtanga police.
Writing tickets.
So anyway, yeah.
Anyways, I don't. I really hope I didn't offend anybody with my feelings, but I do feel really strongly.
I think you made it really clear that you're not saying that those people didn't experience what they experienced,
Yeah.
but
Not,
for you,
yeah.
you experienced what you experienced.
And I have to be
that's-
truthful about what I
Yeah,
experienced.
I think they need to be acknowledged, and, okay, be acknowledged, but, don't write a book about it and go off into like some kind of thing that you're going to be like some kind of rock star now because of it.
Yeah, that's
what I have a problem
little
with.
bit of a trouble with
There's
people
some
turning their story into maybe something that's going to become this lucrative thing.
Yeah, it's just like all
and
this
I really
stuff.
wonder, like,
There's
And
a
the
lot of that
motivation.
going
Where
on
is
within
the
Hollywood
motive?
also in the
Yeah.
political arena and all that. It's like their little 10 minutes of fame, whatever. It's like, oh yeah, Trump touched me, whatever,
even though they were doing pornography for 20 years before that.
Yeah, it's just crazy, like some of the stuff that goes on, it's like, oh yeah, I'll come out and say that because it'll give me some publicity or something.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that some of these guys didn't do that and they used their power against these women. Yeah, I'll put you in a
For
movie.
sure, for
Come
sure.
here and give me a
Absolutely.
blowjob or whatever,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
that was going on. And that's abusive,
Yeah.
So there's been like this, and let's settle down a little bit, and put it into proper perspective. Because this is, as Radha was saying, this is a very sensual practice. And there has to be it's like a full contact sport thing. And when you're teaching and you're really giving adjustments, you're on people and you're right there and you're like intimate with them. And that's the way it is. If you don't like that, then don't be involved with it like that, you know. Maybe go to someone that just gives you verbal cues or something. But that's not how I learned. Patabi was all over me.
It's not how I
you know.
either.
And
Yeah.
my teachers, the American teachers, they were like,
Mine
we
was-
were doing all kinds of crazy adjustments, you know, and learning like what's good and what's not. That's how you learn, you know. So the whole sexual thing, it's
It's a big shame.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It is.
undermined a lot of people's confidence in the practice
has.
Yeah.
and goodwill towards the practice. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
The last like between the list thing and then
Yeah.
the Guruji thing, I really felt like my heart sank
Yeah,
for a few months. I was like, you know what? Do I even want to teach this practice
See,
anymore?
you asked us
Yeah.
in the very beginning of the video.
Yeah.
Like what's been happening over this last year? Well, that was part of it. We were both like going, "Oh my God, what is going
yeah.
on?
It's
What's going on
really-
with the community and
Yeah.
this whole thing with the list?" And we were like, "Oh, really?
Just
We
really,
have to put up with
Yeah.
that, like, oh."
like I felt like I was going back to Catholic school, you know, like all of this control, like lists and this and that. Like it just feels very, it doesn't feel very free. Like you were saying that yoga is about freedom.
Yeah.
I haven't really experienced that in the last year. With
Well, part of it too was that, when you're associated with something like Ashtanga, and you're like, we have an Ashtanga center, and then you hear all this negative stuff going on about it,
Yeah.
and then you're affiliated with that. No, I'm not affiliated with
Right.
that. I didn't sexually abuse anybody. I didn't touch anybody weird. I'm not giving weird adjustments where people are breaking knees and backs and this
Right.
and that. So
Yeah.
when you have to be clumped into like this bubble of Ashtanga, it's like, oh really? You want the world to know, like, no, I'm really not like that,
I also heard that, for whatever this is worth, I was hearing some European people saying that they didn't agree with the sexual stuff. They thought it was American and British. That people in America and places like England are really uptight I'm just saying what I was reading on the internet, and people in Spain and Italy,
Yeah.
they are not.
Everybody has their own opinion and critique on it.
So
there was some stuff going on that was a little bit weird, but then the spin that was put on it was a little bit like overdone, I think.
Yeah.
But there needs to be some healing around it, and so this conversation, it's good. It's good to have. It's not like, oh God, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Or nothing was going on. I don't know. Was that photoshopped or something? Mm. It was happening.
It's a control thing, like you said.
Yeah.
I think that's
it was happening. So let's talk about it. Let's move on. You know what I mean? Like let's get over it and have a healing take place. And I'm not going to take his picture down.
No, please don't.
I'm not going to stop doing the chant. I'm not going to do all that stuff. If someone wants to do that, that's your prerogative. Go ahead.
And let it make those of us now teaching be better teachers and be more clear with our instructions, be more clear with our adjustments.
Exactly.
And like I said, if someone has an issue about something that Prem is adjusting or I'm just tell us.
Yeah.
We're open.
Yeah.
And so part of this healing process, I imagine, as well, is the gathering that you're going to have in March.
Yeah.
And that
very much so.
and coming together. And
very much so. I would really like to see, the conversation be around some of this, and just the coming together as a community, and how we can move forward in a positive way. Mm. That's why I organized it. I was like very excited. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to bring some people together, and so that's why it just came to me, and I said, okay, let's do it. Because I was bummed. I was like, this is, being disgraced by taking off the list, and then the sexual thing.
I was
like,
bummed too.
But then I was like,
really
let's make
bummed.
something positive out of it. Let's come together, and unify the family. And then the conversations that I was having with people was like, yeah, Prem, this is great. Thanks for inviting me, and I think it's going to be a great event. I really do. So I think some real positive things will come out of it, and we'll see where we all align and how we can support each other to keep the practice alive and keep it healthy and strong. Because it's a brilliant practice if you do it correctly.
It's a beautiful
practice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. People love it, and it's taken a few knocks, but it will withstand. And
for
sure.
Yeah, it'll withstand anything, because it is a solidly based practice.
If you do it with integrity and you have a good teacher, it works.
Yeah. It's there. It's inherent in the wisdom of the practice, but you definitely have to know how to use it. Radha mentioned today that a lot of times I say that, like, the Ashtanga method is like a tool, like a knife. You can take a knife and you can make carve a beautiful statue, or you can kill somebody with it. Is it the fault of the knife? No, it's in whose hands it is.
It goes back to what you said about intention.
Yeah,
it's intention. So this practice is intense, man. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you can really hurt yourself.
Or someone else.
Yeah. So you got to really be on spot, man. You got to be really in integrity and knowing what you're doing. That's why it takes a long time to be able to teach. It's not just a 100-hour thing, like a ridiculous 100-hour, 200-hour, 500-hour, 1,000-hour. Not enough.
No.
Not enough.
You have to see a lot of bodies. You have to be doing your own practice for a long time. Patabi used to say 10 years. 10 years, then maybe teaching. He even told me not to teach. After about 5 years.
Don't ever do it.
No, what happened is I was in Hawaii with him, and there was about maybe 50, 70 people there, and he said, blah, 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 la, 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 can teach. And I was like, he didn't say my name. And I was like, did he say my name? No, he didn't say your name.
No.
And I was like, wow, well, that bastard, So I went and talked to him afterwards, and I said, Guruji, you didn't say my name. I am teaching. He goes, you don't teach.
That was when you were really young, though.
Yeah, but just let me tell the story. So he goes, you don't teach. I said, but Guruji, I am teaching.
Yeah.
And I know the practice. I'm good. I'm like, I said, and he said, no, you don't teach. And I was like, but Guruji said, you don't teach. And I was like, what? So I left there and I was like, what a bastard, you know. I was like cursing him all the way home, you know, and I was kind of crying, cursing him, and I just said, fuck that, I'm going to keep teaching. I kept teaching. And then I looked back, and he was completely right. I had no business teaching. I could do the postures, I could do a handstand and put my feet on my head and do all the crazy stuff, but I didn't know how to teach.
Yeah.
He saw that. He saw it. And he called me on it. And I said, no.
But then later he certified you.
Yeah. That's another really funny story. So eventually I got certified.
Yeah.
I didn't want a piece of paper. I thought, what do I need a piece of paper for? You know? I know what I know. I feel good. I've been with him for a long time. And then Sharat came to me in London. Sharat. He said, oh, you know, you should be certified. I said, really? Do I really need that piece? He said, yes, you're a longtime student, Guruji, you get certified. I said, okay, what do I need to do? He said, you come back to Mysore and you practice third series in front of me and Guruji. I said, what do you mean practice third series? What is that? Like, I know third series, but you want me to practice in front of you? And then he said, yes, and it's some money too. Of course. I said, I talked to several different, you know, Tim Miller and blah, blah, blah. I said, Tim was like the first person to get certified. I said, Tim, do you think it's like a value to get certified and get the He said, yeah, there's hardly any people that are certified by him. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I did it. I went to India. This is 2004. I did it. I did third series in front of them. They said, here you go. Here's your certificate. And I paid my money, everything. And I looked at the certificate, and it said Anthony Prem Carlisi, and it said 1994. I'll show you the certificate.
Yeah.
It says 1994. It was 2004. I said, Guruji, why 1994? He said, oh, very old student.
So he backdated it.
He backdated it.
Isn't that sweet? I think that's very sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
It was cool. But, you know, yeah, I mean, some people found out about me through the website because I was listed as a certified teacher, and some people came because of that, but a piece of paper means nothing. It really doesn't. It was just kind of going through the motions, and like all the other certificates that I've ever gotten. Like, I have a degree from a university. Did I ever use it? No.
Were you ever asked for it either?
No.
People know a good
Never.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell people all the time. It's like, do you know anything about this person? I said, go. Use your intuition. You feel good about what's going on, then stick with them. If you feel like, bad feeling, don't do it.
No.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Don't stay in their presence, because you'll get hurt for sure. So,
for sure. Thanks, guys, for spending all this time.
Thank you
Yeah, it was
so
excellent.
much.
Brilliant
Thanks,
to come
Steve.
here
Thank
again,
you,
and
yeah.
look forward to seeing you again.
yeah, right on.
Cool.
Thank you,
Great.
brother.
Thanks.
All right.